homemade blueberry pie. Fannie Farmer is convinced that I can make one. So that's what we're going to do today on the Cookbook Club. I got my rolling pin. I got a pie. I got a pie pan. What could go wrong, right? Welcome to the Amy Learns to Cook kitchen. Okay, so Fannie does some interesting things with her pie crust. We're using the Fannie Farmer cookbook. We've been on this. This is like the second month. We're coming down to the last few recipes we're going to be doing, not forever, but for now, out of this cookbook. She has two different pie crust or pastry, right? She has a couple different. She has a basic pastry, which is a full-on straight shortening pastry. She has a tart pastry, which is a butter pastry, and then she has this hot water pastry. So usually I'm used to chilling my ingredients, making it in a food processor. But she says the food processor does not prepare good basic pastry, i.e. the one with shortening. It blends the flour and the shortening too much into a paste instead of keeping it into bits. However, the food processor does the tart pastry, the all butter pastry, great. So I've made shortening pastry in a food processor and it worked out fine. She doesn't chill this, and she has an interesting thing about chilling. She doesn't mention chilling our shortening. She only mentions using cold water. Normally in a regular situation, we would chill the ingredients, make it, chill the dough, roll it out, right? She says to don't chill the shortening, roll it out, put it in the pie pan, and then put that into the refrigerator, not before. She says it's easier to roll it out. So we're going to be trying her way of doing this because, you know, she is our teacher today.
She's got her name on the book.
Yeah, it's her book. So we're going to, here's our flour. We're going to add a little bit of salt. And this is a pastry blender. It basically has these cutters on it, and it's going to cut the fat into the flour. Instead of, using a mixer and blending it all in and combining it, what you want is you want that fat to be coated and crumbly in the flour. Then when it melts in the oven, it's going to be flaky, right? So we're going to be doing this by hand as she requests. So I have our unchilled, which is different for me, shortening here. Shortening tends to make your pastry flakier. Butter brings in the flavor. So a lot of people will use both, right? They'll do a 50-50. A lot of times I just do all butter because butter brings in flakiness and the flavor. Sometimes I do 50-50. It all depends on how I'm feeling or maybe the kind of crust I'm trying to make. So see how this pastry knife, if you want to call it that, it just cuts the fat into the flour. And I'm just going to do this a little bit with my hands. See how we have it, it's crumbly like in there? Mm-hmm. You don't want to blend it where these two things are like totally blended together. And you want to work it like least as possible when we get this water in here. That looks good. Okay, so when you start putting the water in, you don't want to overdo it because flour has gluten. That's what gives bread the rise, right? If you develop the gluten in this flour, it's not going to be tender. It'll be tough. So we don't want to do that. So we're taking this by the tablespoon. She says 6 to 7 tablespoons. So I'm going to start out with 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to do this by hand, even though some people will say, oh, you're touching touching it. But I'm going to be the one eating this pie, so. And basically, pie crust, you want to only get it to the point where you squeeze it and it stays together. That was 5. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to need more. 6, 7. I think we're pretty much there. I need to go get a board. It looks a little dry, but when it starts soaking in that water and we get it on the board, it's going to come together. So let me go grab a board. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the dough on here. You don't want to play with it too much. So I'm going to cut this in half. This is a double crust. So I usually use pastry flour, and she didn't say anything about that. Since she didn't, I'm assuming that it's AP. But I usually use pastry flour. So I have a little bit of plastic wrap here. I'm going to go ahead and put this here. I don't want this to dry out or anything. Make it look pretty if you want to. I'm just going to roll this up like this to keep it from drying out. There you go. And so here is our pastry for the bottom crust. One of the things about putting it in the refrigerator is it allows the flour to hydrate a little bit more. This is just cracking on me. I don't know if I'm 100% digging this because it feels a little too soft. What are you doing to me, Fannie? She says 1/8 of an inch.
1/8 of an inch there.
Roll it on your board like this. Like that. Put your pie pan down here and roll it on that color. So one of the things about pie crust is you don't want to push it in because then it shrinks. So let it fall and have plenty of room here. I need a little extra here. And it's like sculpting the clay. Now, can I do an acceptable edge? A lot of times you roll the edge a little bit like this. This is going to be a rustic edge.
Oh, rustic means not, it's going to be uneven?
Because Amy is not a baker. Amy is a lawyer.
Amy's a stand mixer operator.
Yeah. So we're just going to do this, 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 this. This is a little rough over here, but hey, whatever, right? It's a pie. So I need to put this, she says now refrigerate this. So we're going to refrigerate this for like a half hour. I think I want to put some plastic over it. Yeah, because I mean, it's just going to dry out in there. If it's not covered with something.
Right.
To the fridge it goes. Okay, we're going to make the filling. We're going to put some sugar in this bowl here.
Okay.
We're going to put some flour in here. And we're going to put some salt in here. And we're going to stir that around. Two combined. So, since we're using a deep dish pie, I didn't want to be like not have enough filling. So I measured out like a 1.5 times for the filling. So we'll see what happens. We have, she wants 4 cups. We got 6 cups of blueberries here. This is probably going to be too much, but hey, whoops. I'll make a little pie crust tomorrow and do something with it. I'm going to go ahead and mix these in here till it's nice and mixed. I'm going to put a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon juice. I want to go in and stir this with my hand, but then I don't because it's going to turn my hands blue.
Well, you just have to wear gloves.
Yeah. I want to. Okay, let's go get our pie shells.
I just want to get a bigger bowl and just turn one upside down, turn it back upside down, be done with it.
So I sort of screwed this up because I'm so used to making a crumb pie. I rarely make a double crust pie. I wasn't supposed to flute it yet because we're going to be having the top crust over this. So no fluting necessary at the point that I did that.
So read the directions.
So erase that and act like you're not seeing me do this. Let me take a little bit from here. So this is a little thick. So we're going to be using the top crust, and then we're going to flute it with the top crust. Doi, 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 doi. That's my error. Okay, it's unfluted. So we're going to go ahead and put this in here, which is going to be fun because I don't want this to stain my countertop. I think it might be better if I scoop it. I think we're going to have more blueberries than we need here. I'll just have to make a crumb topping and throw the rest of this in the oven. Maybe this will be okay.
But that just goes to show you that the 4 cups would not have been enough.
No, not for this pie. This is a Mille Henry. Yes, Henry. I need to dot this with some butter. You don't want to forget that. Dot it with butter before we put the thing on. Dot it with some butter. Butter, butter, butter. Time for the top crust. Time to roll out our top crust. I put this in the fridge with that. It was a little soft doing it her way. It was a little, I don't know.
Uncomfortable?
It was rolling pie crust is uncomfortable regardless, but I couldn't get it to come together very well. See how it's cracking like that? Does that mean I don't have it hydrated enough? I know I'm doing this wrong because I know you're supposed to like only roll one direction. You never roll toward yourself, only away. I have a towel on here to keep my board steady, but with this, I want my board to move, so I guess that's an exception to the rule. I'm trying my best, Fannie. I'm trying my best. Marion. It's coming up. Boink. Okay, so now I can crimp the crust. This is a little too much. So I'm going to cut a little bit of that off. Cut a little here and here. Maybe cut a little here around the edge. Oh, I used all those blueberries, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, now roll it over. If I can get the bottom, roll it over the bottom crust. I know people are going to say, I make an all butter crust. I usually do, but sometimes it's fun to do something a little different. And that's what we're doing today, right? Courtesy of Marion and Fannie. You don't always have to do it the same. Now for the crimping. So, thumb in, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, crimp, crimp, crimp.
Do we have to cut any slits at some point?
Yeah. Got thumb marks in it.
Oh.
We need a couple slits in here as vents. You don't want it. You want the air to be able to get out. Slits, and I'm putting an egg wash in there. She didn't mention it. Just an egg scrambled up with a little bit of water to thin it out. This will, I think, make the crust brown nicely. So this is going into the oven at 425 for 10 minutes. We're going to drop the temp down to 350, cook about 40 minutes more. We're going to have some homemade blueberry pie to the oven. Okay, so Fannie Marion said, cook it 10 minutes and then lower it and cook it 30 to 40. We ended up cooking it the 10 and then cooked it like another, hour?
Well, yeah, it's been 75 minutes total, but it's also a deep dish.
Yeah. So I have these little rings here. A lot of people, if their crust is getting too brown, they put tin foil, but these things are amazing. They just pop on here. You can change the size of them. And yeah, they're made out of silicone. So there's our pie. That pie looks amazing.
Looks nice, doesn't it?
It looks amazing. Mm-hmm. We cooked it till the internal temperature was about 200. Mm-hmm. So we cannot cut this until it's fully cooled because that liquid will be liquidy and run all over. It's going to probably run all over anyway, but
the sugar should thicken once it cools.
yeah, it'll thicken as it cools. So you want to wait until it's fully cooked. That looks amazing. I can't wait to taste it. Okay, it is the next day, and I had to let the pie fully cool, and it took a while for it to cool. It was starting to get late, and we went out for some Mexican food, right? And we came back, but it was still a little warm, so I figured that we would just wait till...
Yeah, it was a little warm, and she had these chimichangas.
Yeah, I was out down for the count. So, you can cut it when it's hot, but the problem is it won't have if it's going to set up, it won't have a chance to set up. So here is our beautiful homemade blueberry Fannie Marion pie. So I wonder if the inside it's not set up. It's liquidy.
No, I'm sure it's set up by now, Bobo.
Yeah, it's liquidy in there.
You think?
Yeah.
With all the pectin and stuff it has?
No, it's liquidy.
So are you saying we need a soup spoon?
Yeah. It's liquidy in there. Look at that.
Are you saying the recipe should have called some cornstarch?
It's totally liquidy in there. Oh, man. I mean, it'll be tasty. It's not going to be Pinterest worthy, but it will be tasty. Yeah, no. It's totally liquidy in there. Look at it. It's all liquid. Yeah, flour may not be the right course of action.
What do you mean flour?
You might need cornstarch or something instead, because it's all liquid in there. Now, granted, I'm okay with eating it.
Well, we'll just have to clean the mess up.
There you go, man.
Thank you, Boo-Boo.
Yeah, it's pretty liquid in there.
It's not entirely liquid.
I didn't give you all the liquid.
You keeping that for yourself?
The pie aficionados will not like this. So I'm saying this is probably a great recipe, but you're probably going to have to do something about this liquid. Work on the sugar ratio with the,
Yeah.
work on the sugar ratio with the cornstarch. So here is our pie. It looks pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I don't know. What do we have to do to keep this from being so liquidy in there? Wow. Is the crust flaky? The crust is amazing. I would put a little sugar in the crust. Very flaky. Look at that. It's flaky. I'm missing the butter flavor, though. I would do 50-50 butter. It's tasty. We can't stop eating it. So, some changes I would make is I would bring in butter because I miss that in the... It's nice and flaky, but I don't quite have that richness. I'd put a little bit of sugar in the crust and I'd introduce some butter in there.
And we put a bunch of cornstarch in there.
Yeah, I'd work on this. But this is the first blueberry pie I ever made, and it is tasty. Blueberry pie, cooks. I'm off to finish this. Thanks for joining me. I think Eric likes this pie because he's in for his second piece. Look at that.
Well, yeah, duh.
But look at all that liquid. That's not right. But
but it's so,
I need to try
oh
this.
God, this is like food of the gods, though. This is like, oh my God. This is like so wonderful.
Yeah. I'm going to try to fix that. And I'll give you Amy's blueberry pie when I figure it out.